Hardcore Lies.
Hey guys, Rob from Georgia here with you. I'm your Wednesday evening host here at BodyBags. It is week 384. It is a new year, it is a new month, it is a new week of BodyBags. And so I wanted to take a look at something new, really new to me, but new this year in a 2020 film from Yeon, who first initially brought us 4 years ago Train to Busan, follows it up 4 years later with Peninsula, a presentation of Train to Busan. Right, this is the 4K, and don't mind this stuff, but eventually this is going to go and the movie's going to click on. There's nothing I can do about it. It's just one of those set screens. But this is the beautiful 4K. I would say to you, if this is a film that you've already been chomping at the bit to get your hands on, be looking at Amazon, because I picked this beauty up for only 14 bucks and change, I think, and which was actually a lot cheaper than in Walmart. But neither here or there, or perhaps. This is an absolutely awesome film. I actually revisited Train last night just to kind of get that back in my mind again. But having seen this at least four or five times now, I really do dig this follow-up immensely. There is aspects of it I probably even enjoy more than the first film. The first film is probably a better film. This definitely takes the route, Peninsula takes the route of just becoming much bigger, much more grandiose. It's just a bigger vision. With it, a little bit of awkwardness to some of the CGI that is implemented in the film. But overall, excuse me, none of that stuff really even bothers me, man. I got sucked in first time I saw this movie when I rented it on DVD out of the Redbox, and I knew right then I was going to have to be buying this thing. Basically, the film, the film picks up 4 years after the events of the first film. We initially begin at the beginning point of the film with our main character Jung, who with his brother-in-law and his brother-in-law's wife and child are trying to make their way to the port to get off the peninsula. The pandemic is exploding, of course, and as they get onto the ship, well, as they're making their way, they bypass a family on the road who is desperate to get anyone to give them help. It's a father, mother, and a little girl, and he makes the Jung-hyun makes the moral decision to just not take any chances and race to the ship. Unfortunately for him, you can't escape this thing. Kind of like the thing that we're dealing with here in our country and around the world. There are elements of this you just can't escape. And so when they're on the ship, of course, there's an infected person, and it just explodes. And in the process, unfortunately, him and his brother-in-law will lose his sister's wife and their child. And that's as far as I'm going to go as far as spoilers, because it does set up our narrative pretty powerfully. We'll then pick up 4 years later. These two guys are refugees in Hong Kong, and they will get an opportunity to be part of another team, to be part of a team that will actually go into the peninsula and retrieve a food truck full of U.S. cash in hopes that they can split the profits and maybe make a better life of what they have, and maybe just be done with each other, because since that awful event on the boat, it just hasn't been the same. But they're going to go do this thing, and there's a couple other people part of the team. And as they get into the peninsula, now the peninsula, just to kind of let you know here, 4 years later, it is like the forbidden zone. It is a quarantine zone. The entire South Korean peninsula is a no man's land. No one technically is allowed to go in and out. But if you pay the right people the right amount of money, you can get access. And so it, creates for sort of a black market of opportunity to kind of go in there and grab stuff that was just left behind. And so Jung gets this opportunity, him and his brother-in-law get this opportunity. In the process, things will happen that will decimate their team very early on. And in the process of him trying to get himself out of the jam, he will be rescued, but he'll be rescued, funny as it is, by the very family that he had left there on his way to the ship to get out. And so the main girl, Min, if that's how you say it, Min Jung, she will create an opportunity for Jung, a sort of character arc of redemption where he will be, as she puts it, he is now indebted to her little girls since he made the moral choice to leave them when he could have taken them. Although, with everything that explodes on the boat, you never know what really would have happened to them on the boat. Maybe it was a better thing they were left behind. It's kind of an interesting way to look at it. But it does give him a chance to sort of fix things, right things, and he really does take these two little girls, although under his wing, and develops a really interesting relationship with the family. The husband is since gone. We're introduced to the elder Kim, who's the grandfather to the little girls, and so he will take a moment and basically just tell her straight up, I'm one of the ones who drove right by and left you. So then she, in fact, then at that moment says, well, then you're indebted to my little girls to get us out of here. Well, there is a way out, because as he tells her the story of them coming in as a team to retrieve this truck, she knows exactly where this truck is and how to get her hands on it. It's been actually taken by a paramilitary group who, I don't know, like, it's like right out of Land of the Dead. They sort of have their own games involving the infected, and if they get their hands on anyone outside and bring them in, they throw them into the games. Well, that's where his brother-in-law ends up. So they've been sort of split up early on into their moment in the peninsula, and so not only does this become pretty complicated in terms of for Jung, for retrieving this truck from this paramilitary organization, but also he'll also get an opportunity to try to save his brother-in-law. And so there is a real redemptive arc going on here that will find its finality in the end of the film with a pretty powerful end. There's some great foreshadowing of certain things, and you'll see some of the things that I just set up for you will start playing out here. I might as well, that's the family, of course. I'm not going to kick this in the... You get some narrative, exposition, background stuff going on here, just to kind of set you up with the film as this stuff is starting to explode. So I don't know if I want to go too much. I really loved just the color palette, the texture of the film. I thought it looked freaking great. The relationship he builds with the two little girls, it's freaking awesome. When they're out, they love going out and just messing around in their car, even though they're these two little girls. The one is old enough to drive, and the other one is old enough to pretty much hold her own in terms of, at least from a safe place. And when they save Jung and bring him into the car, he's ushered into the back of the seat. And when he realizes he's sitting in a car with these two little girls, he doesn't have to say a word, and he doesn't say a word. The expression on his face is absolutely priceless. It's one of my favorite moments in the entire film, because the look on his face is like, you gotta be kidding me. What has just happened? And he'll have a couple moments like that actually on the film. And so as they go to try to retrieve this thing, we're introduced to this paramilitary organization. There's another sort of subplot to a few subplots here going on involving the guy who's in charge of this paramilitary, who he's looking just for his way out. And it's interesting because Land of the Dead, I'm telling you, this movie, it's like a mixture of three movies. It's like Escape from New York, Mad Max, and Land of the Dead. And it's an interesting combination of those three films, interesting elements of those three films. And so, when things really get moving, we're sort of following a few different things as we move through the film. As a follow-up, I thought it was awesome. In revisiting the first film last night, I was reminded of the very first opening frames. If you remember the deer that gets hit in the beginning of that film, that suddenly springs to life, and the camera sort of closes in on its head, and we see its eyes and whatnot. I thought to myself, please, oh please, oh please, let's get a third piece to this. And I would love, whether going back into the peninsula again, maybe trying to ascertain the origins of an antidote or something, answers that can help them fix this thing. But in the process, it'd be cool if animals were brought into the equation. I think you could really hit on some old movies like Hell of the Living Dead, or I'm trying to think, Zombie 5, just kind of the old 80s movies. Take just, some of the elements, but man, create a really great story that involves maybe a military organization. You're kind of getting to see a little beginning of this. That goes into maybe, do something. So anyways, Peninsula, freaking outstanding. Of the 2020 films I have seen this year, this is easily one of my favorites. I love this film. This will be, even before I put on Train, I have to just be honest, this is a go-to for me. So I probably should just go ahead and cut this off before this movie continues to go any further. But do check this out if you have not checked it out. If you have checked it out, what'd you think of it compared to the original? Do you like it more, less, somewhat both? Let me know. Continue to check us out each and every single day. There's a new reviewer, of course, here at BodyBags. We appreciate the support. We appreciate the views, the comments, the subs, anything and everything you guys bring. Thank you for 6 great years of BodyBags. Keep us going, keep us floating, keep us rolling along, I pray, and hope. And as we move on into this new year, all my hopes are with. And man, my Bills are going to storm into the playoffs and do some good things. My Bulldogs won a big game yesterday, and by field goal closing seconds, that was pretty good. Other than that, can't really think of much of anything. Awesome movie. There is quite a bit of more things I could say, but not knowing my time and not liking the idea that we have a movie that is just rolling here, I'm just going to kind of cut it. And man, again, all my hopes go with, as always, go Bills.
This is not a dream. Not a dream.